My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is The Inbound. This is The Inbound. This is The Inbound. This is The Inbound Secret.
What's going on, everybody? It is The Inbound Secret coming at you again today with Manny Wolfe. He is really a coach of coaches, it sounds like, more or less, because what you've always specialized in is helping coaches and experts reach more people, make a bigger impact, make more money. You've been doing it for 5 or 6 years. You're a best-selling author. You've got training programs out. Mm-hmm. You've done the marketing and the live training. So we just had a guest on the episode before you who is an ex-teacher who specializes in like the systems side of info products. Yeah. You come in kind of a more holistic overview, let's get this thing rocking kind of way. Yeah. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, first tell everybody about yourself, and then tell me a little bit about kind of what got you here. Like, where'd you come from? What's your story? Let's kind of trail back to memory lane for a little bit.
Sure, man. I find myself creating organic lead gen systems and ideas out of a necessity. I mean, I think we probably all do. And for me, the necessity was a few years ago, I wrote a book, the book you referenced, and I didn't even know about the online space, much less marketing. It was just, I mean, it was not remotely in my awareness. And I somehow got a call with a publisher from Penguin, like an editor from Penguin. And that was like, I don't even remember how I did that. Somebody knew somebody who knew somebody and got me 15 minutes with this guy. And he said, first thing he said was, so you wrote a book, great. Do you have an audience? I didn't even know what that meant. Literally. I literally didn't even know the terminology. I was like, what? Like, I don't know. And so he said, look, the days of submitting your manuscript over and over again until somebody says yes are gone. Now you have to have an audience or a platform. And I said, what is that? He said, there's a group of people who like you. And I was like, how the hell do we even do that? Like, at this point, I literally probably had posted on Facebook 10 times at that point, about 8 years ago. Didn't even know that social media was used for promotion. And so I said, how do you do that? And he said, well, podcasts are hot right now. I said, all right. So I went and I started a podcast, just jumping in long before I even looked, leaping way before I looked. So I started.
I think that's how most of us do it. Like, there's no like guidebook to, hey, here's how you be an entrepreneur. It's mostly just shove you off a cliff. You figure it before you hit the ground.
Seems like it. Yeah. So I started the podcast and I thought, the book was a story of my life. It's not a marketing positioning book. It's like a real, true, gritty accounting of a one kid's really effed up life. You know what I mean? And so I thought, because of the book, well, I'd like to be a men's coach. And so I started a podcast that sort of aimed me in that direction, and nobody gave a rat's ass. Let me just be clear about that. Nobody cared at all. Like, the podcast came out and people started to message me and say, can you teach me how to sound like you on the microphone? Which was just the most random thing I could have imagined. But I said, yes. Like, I will take your money and make you better at whatever you want me to help you with. Yeah. And so my first client ever was for voice coaching lessons. I was so green, I didn't even know about PayPal. I literally had him drive to the Wells Fargo in his state and deposit $397 in my bank account for a month of coaching. It was the first money I ever made online.
To be fair, you didn't miss out with PayPal.
Oh God, yeah, we could do a whole episode where I will nail them to the cross and throw gasoline on them. They are the worst. Later, a friend of mine would say to me, PayPal has no business anywhere near a serious business. And I agree with that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been shut down or paused because it's like, we have a promo, we sell a bunch of shit, and PayPal's like, the fuck you doing making money? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Whoa. Nobody said you'd be making money here. Come on. Yeah, no, it's 100% true. Here's your cautionary tale, kids. Here's the moral of the story. Stay the hell away from PayPal.
And Square. And if you can, Stripe.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be that one guy or girl who sits there all self-righteous and goes, I've never had a problem with PayPal. All you're doing is inviting pain.
Yeah, it's like it took 3 years for me, and then they just came and kicked me in the taint really hard.
Yeah, same here. Same here. It was like being on the bomb squad, right? Stay calm, keep everything dry, and you don't have a problem until you do.
Yep.
That's it, man. So I got this one guy who paid me, and I was like, this is amazing. I love this. I want more of this. How do I do it? That was sort of like the moment where I crossed under the sign in Dante's Inferno that says, abandon hope, all ye who enter here. Mm-hmm. And I went into the world of internet marketers. And it was just like a carnival sideshow, man. It was just like, overwhelming you with download this cheat sheet, come to this webinar, do this, do that. That thing you just trusted, it's dead. Do this instead. And it just became so quickly like, first overwhelming, and then I started to see through it and go, wait a minute, most of this is bullshit. Most of this is just manipulative, like it's not true. And I have a unique sort of bragging rights. I was born in a cult. I know a little something about manipulative people. Like I'm pretty good.
You were okay. Hold on. You were born in a cult.
Yeah.
Are we talking like Tom Cruise Scientology, or are we talking like middle of nowhere Texas show about the religious cult and the religious zealot that had like a tiny little compound? What are we talking here? What level of cult?
We're talking neither of those. It was classified as a new age cult, which tend to be a little bit less tightly organized.
Okay.
But they have the same things as all cults, which is a charismatic leader, deference to authority, twisted language, all these kind of like attributes. But the thing is coming from there into the world of marketing, I was like, whoa, like you guys are doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why do you think there's like 300,000 competitors of mine, and like 8 of us know what we're doing?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that, man. It's the world's most profitable human centipede. Or Dutch rudder, if you prefer. It's just everybody jerking each other off, and nobody really knows what's happening, except for a very, very few.
Every time I hear Dutch rudder, I think of that South Park episode. Way off topic, but you guys should go watch that episode. It's hilarious.
So little by little, as I ran over here to download this PDF and went to that webinar and realized everything was just a pitch. Mm-hmm. It was all just a pitch. And the pitches were all overblown and hypey and, and deceptive. I started to realize that what had happened is a lot of these people had literally contorted their own ethics. They twisted their own moral centers to the point where they could accept things like the same lies they told us. There's a lot of lying in the marketing space. Mm-hmm. And if it's not an outright lie, it's a deliberately inflated promise. It's the 7 weeks to 7 figures, right? It's the laptop lifestyle by February, all of this crap.
Yeah. There's something to be said about, cause you're right. There's a ton of people out there that just overinflate things.
Yeah.
Right? But there is something to be said about outlandish claims also having validity. For instance, I have a new group that I started, a new challenge that's coming out that's called Thoughts to Profits. Mm-hmm. In that 5-day challenge. It's a total of 7 days if you count the bonus material, but it's a 5-day active challenge. I can teach you how to go from a thought to a profitable info product and have profit by the end of the first week. Because I've done it.
Strike me as inflated though.
Because I've done it hundreds of times.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
And in that, and granted, I've only ever done it once for myself. I've done it hundreds of times for other people.
Yeah.
That's why I can confidently say that claim.
Yeah.
But in it, I use an example. One of our most recent clients, HI, for their abbreviation. I don't know if I have permission to talk about them on the air because I'm on an NDA, but in 6 days, with $1,350 in total ad spend, we made them just shy of 40 grand on their first launch of an info product.
Yeah.
You can do it. So I always have to add a caveat when either I or somebody else talks about an inflated came 7 weeks to 7 figures. It's possible.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Right. Right.
It's simple systems utilized in a specific fashion. If you vary from that, you're not getting the result. If you don't have the prerequisites, you're not getting the result. There's caveats to it.
There's tons of caveats to it. And in many cases, the systems aren't even simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when I say simple system, I don't necessarily mean like the tech side of things or the instrument side of things. I mean, there's 7 total systems in any flourishing business, right? 4 of them are growth and client retention. The other 3 are admin. If you can get those 4 basic concepts down, whether you do them or somebody else does them for you, it really boils down to 7 simple tasks that you have to do on a daily basis. That's what I mean when it comes down to, is it easy or simple? No, it's not easy. It's hard as shit. But it's simply done if you follow a roadmap.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I think that casting light on the difference between simple and easy is very important, right? Yeah. Because a lot of simple stuff is not easy, especially when it comes to like, when you want to really kind of like make big money, which I unapologetically want to do, you know, like that's 100%.
All of you listening should also unapologetically want to make boatloads of money.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. You should. So, but I'm guessing that you know as well as I do that many people do what I call predatory positioning.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. Where it's like you deliberately blur the line between simple and easy in how you position things. Yeah. So anyway, I got here because I got so sick of like, and frankly, falling for it over and over again.
Yeah.
You know, and so I started probably about 3.5 years ago. I said, I'm just really going to go deep into this organic thing. I want to find out what this organic thing is about, what the limitations of it are, how to really do it. Which led me to, you know, starting to get results a little bit and then a little better, then a little better. And starting to go, I know there are other people who would love to know this stuff. And that's why I call myself the reluctant marketer, is because now I teach what I've learned, but I never set out to do this.
Yeah.
It was never my goal. You know what I mean? I originally wanted to be a men's coach, man.
But in a way, you still kind of are, because I mean, let's call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is male dominated.
It is.
Whether that's intentional or not, who knows? I know a ton of women that are just absolute rock stars that are entrepreneurs, but typically speaking, it's male. So in your own way, you still ended up being primarily a men's coach.
That's true.
Just for a different thing.
Just for a different outcome. Yeah. And so like, that's how I got here. That's now what my, my sort of like angry obsession is. And I say that playfully, like, there are sometimes still though, when I get like a little frustrated because the duplicity and the manipulation really rubs me wrong.
Yeah.
you know,
100%.
and I'm sure that it's because of how I was raised. And so my question now, my big overarching, like, is this possible, is can you have wildly successful marketing strategies that are also fairly transparent and in alignment with sort of a high level of ethical, you know, a high degree of ethics?
To answer your question, yes, you can.
Yeah, I'm seeing you can.
Yeah,
I'm seeing that you can.
It's the foundation of my companies. I mean, I've got my mantra tattooed on me. You're made to thrive, not just survive. And to give a little backstory, some of you listeners may know, some of you might. Manny, we haven't had the pleasure of having this discussion before. The reason Funnel Driven was founded, on top of having to start from Subterranean again, losing a prior company, life crumbling at some point in 2017. My upcoming book talks about that. Was really just because I was in a position once where I needed marketing help, had no fucking idea who to go to that wasn't full of shit, didn't have 50 grand to pay somebody for shit that I could probably figure out. So I figured it out, right? 10 years ago for myself through college, and 7 years ago working for other companies as affiliates, and 4 years ago for myself. The trajectory goes through, right? So when we started this, we spent 6 months before we actually started launching product, whether it be with partners, affiliates, white labelers at the time in 2017. Those 6 months where we tried to completely break the industry as much as we could. I hate long-term contracts for no fucking reason, because I'll be the first to tell you, after about 6 to 9 months of us actively in your campaigns, we don't need to do anything anymore. We basically just monitor it at that point. After like 6 to 9 months, you're good. If it worked 6 to 9 months, unless you change something, it's going to keep doing the thing. Right?
Yeah.
And I kept seeing all these people that are like, well, it's going to be 10 grand plus 7,000 a month for 3 years. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, totally.
And then it was, how do we make it a win-win-win, right? How do we make it so we win, they win, the end user wins? And then how do we do it in a way that isn't just run of the mill, right? It took us after those 6 months, it really took us until this year to really develop our, I guess, specialty, right? Because we've been a marketing agency and a web development and an app development agency for 3 years. We've been doing all that stuff, right? But this year was the first year that we got so clear on what it is that we turn down clients that don't fit that model or send them to one of our other companies. Yeah. And what we do now is intent-based, affinity-backed, neuroscience-enhanced, omnipresent ecosystems for lead generation, client acquisition, sales scaling. If that is not what you need, you don't work with us.
Yeah.
But it took a long time to get there because there's so much noise in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
Clients, 85% of our clients this year have come from people that burned them in the past. Other agencies, other companies that sold them pipe dreams, burned them, and then gave them unrealistic expectations. Yeah. In 30 fucking days, there is a chance you're going to make $0. Yeah. I don't care how much you spend on marketing, how much you spend on us. In 30 days, there is a chance you will not make money. You will probably lose money. You will probably have a loss leader for your first quarter. In most cases. Now, holiday promotions change that. Specific CTAs change that. Having a product that just sells like hotcakes changes that, right? There are caveats, like everything. Yeah. But it's one of those things that, like, I'm really glad to hear somebody else say, could you do business profitably at large scale to help other people with integrity, morals, and ethics? Yes, you can. There's just not enough of us out there. Right.
And then cutting through, you know, the cutting through is its own sort of process, for sure. But yeah, likewise, I'm glad to hear somebody in the industry say the truth, which is in 30 days, it's very, likely you won't make money. Because this is one of the the most common inferences in the space. They don't ever come out and say it anymore, but they used to when I first got in the space.
Oh yeah.
But now it's just cleverly implied that, look, within 48 hours, you're going to be sitting on the beach forever, you know, and they're getting better and better at saying it without saying it. And it's just not the reality. It's, you know, so that's kind of like, that's kind of like what I'm trying to blend is like reality with effective lead gen and then, you know, sales conversations and stuff like that. That's really where I want to be. And primarily organic is what I teach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my.
We're ironically on the other side of your coin. We do, like, obviously we do organic stuff as well. It's why we have a podcast, but it's what we primarily do is paid tactics, primarily paid advertising, paid marketing, paid promotion. And that's what we specialize in. So it's good to know. It's good to know people like you that are on the reverse side of that coin. So if somebody's like, hey, I just don't want to do paid advertising, but this is what I need done. Cool. Manny's your guy. Rather than trying to flip through a fucking conveyor. So you reluctantly got into the industry, but it sounds like you kind of, to some extent, became passionate about it.
Yeah. One of the things that I think a lot of us can relate to, that's certainly true for me, is if I have something to push back against, I'm more passionate than sort of like in a vacuum. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like all I have to do, if I was to open up Facebook right now and scroll through, I'd get 10 reasons to still be passionate about what I'm doing.
In about 5 minutes,
In about 5 minutes, In about 4 or 5 flips of the thumb. So yeah, I am passionate about it. I think that in general, I'm a person of sort of a passionate disposition, you know, and I do, man. I look, my next goal is $100,000 months with wildly high profit margins. That's what I want. And I want to do it, you know, by helping other people. I want to, you know, to be able to get that feeling of consistency. One of the things I think about a lot is what it feels like when you're starting out and you have a hodgepodge of different pieces of advice and concepts. I think of it as like waking up every day and going into this like insane room that just has pedals and pulleys and levers and bells and chains, and, you know, and you got to figure out the right combination that makes a client pop out of the chute.
Yeah.
But the combination's changing all the time, right? And
and here's the crazy thing about that. That's what's going on in all of our heads at any point. We see 4,000 to 6,000 ads a day.
Right.
Our brain processes 60,000 approximate thoughts a day. 80% of which are, I just heard this stat the other day, it was one of my last guests, 80% of which are old information or influenced by yesterday, and 90% of which, 70 to 90% are potentially negative or neutral. Right? So like our brain is consistency, like fuck that ad, fuck that. Yesterday sucks. I wonder why my toe hurts.
Pretty much.
So when you're doing advertising, paid advertising, organic advertising, this is the thing. I can't preach this enough, and I don't understand why people don't understand this concept. You're building a fucking relationship.
100%, man. 100%.
It's just like dating.
Yeah.
You see a girl at a bar, you go approach her. You do not immediately ask if you can bend her over your couch. Like you've got to wine and dine her.
No matter how bad you want to.
You've got to wine and dine her. You've got to talk to her. You've got to get to know her. You have to build and form a relationship.
That's right.
It's not like buying a hooker. Like that's not how business is built. I mean, unless you were a pimp in like the 1960s, but we're talking about ethical business here,
right?
not so way off topic, but I have to bring this up because I don't think I've talked about it yet. I don't even know how to say this, so I'm just going to come out and say it. Seattle hired an ex-pimp to be a street czar. What the hell is going on in Seattle?
That's a whole different 3-part show, man. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Seattle, bro. So yeah, so anyway, like, I believe it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, I believe it can be done. I believe that there can be marketing that is a mix of high ethical value and transparency, influence and persuasion, you know, and then entertainment too, because it's got to be entertaining as well.
I mean, if it's not, your brain just stops caring.
More so than ever before, right? Yeah. I mean, it always had to be entertaining or aspirational or you know, I don't like, I think back to David Ogilvy and Eugene Schwartz a lot, because I see a lot of what they talked about back in the 50s still works if you adapt it to the digital sort of domain.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they really focused on pressing on fears as much as we do today, pressing on pain.
Yeah.
I think it was more aspirational.
In most cases, yeah.
Yeah.
The difference, I would have to say, not only for the digital world, is really the way that we are as a society now.
Yeah.
Back in their time, we weren't fear-mongered by every piece of media that has ever been presented to us in a daily basis.
That's true.
The news at that time actually reported news.
Actually reported the news. That's
they didn't just make shit up coffee in the morning and be like, what are we gonna fucking talk about today? Where, I mean, for God's sakes, I'll talk about it. I've got no problem talking about it. For everybody listening, just be warned. This may get a little hot and heavy for you. So I just got my COVID vaccine because the girlfriend works in medical and she got it for the family.
Yeah.
And so we were like, cool. I don't know what happened to the rest of the world, but since when did modern medicine and science stop being factual? Because we solved polio, we solved Ebola, we got rid of the bubonic plague, we got rid of 99% of influenza. And the fact that we live to be 100 and we don't die from dysentery at 25 anymore.
Right.
Somehow society has forgotten that modern medicine is the reason that happened.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm just going to call everybody out for a second. Those of you who honestly believe that they're going to put a microchip inside of a vaccine on their dime, you're out of your damn mind. You slap an Apple logo on it, every fucking person in America will pay for that microchip. You've already proven that.
Yeah.
Back in the 1950s, people were scared of wiretaps. If they said something wrong, the government would wiretap them. Now we line up to buy wiretaps, okay? Think about that for a second, people. Now, granted, some of the benefits is intent and affinity-based marketing tailored to you.
Yeah.
But if you think the government or some secret society is going to spend their own money to track you, they don't need to.
That's true. That's true. For all you kids at home, tinfoil hats on, hiding under the couch, there's not a whole lot of value in, especially the US, right, being any more complacent than we are.
Yeah.
Any more sort of malleable than we are. We're sort of at the either the apex or the lowest part of the dip, depending on how you look. For already being a, you know, we're like a fat teat that they can milk.
Yeah.
And I can't get there either. It's funny, we're just veering off into this because I totally agree here. I can't get to the, oh my God, there's actually a plan to somehow make America more under control of media? Like, is that what we're saying?
I'm not sure that's possible.
Yeah, I really don't. I talk with my wife about this all the time. I don't see any payoff to pushing us into some sort of like Orwellian state.
There wouldn't be. I mean, there is a very, very, very close contrast between Orwell's novel and basically this year. The difference being, though, is in Orwell's novel, he's talking about totalitarian communism, right? And how, for everybody out here that's going to fucking bitch and moan about democratic socialism not being communism. In the fucking 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, China themselves, literally the world leader in communism after the USSR, blatantly stated that they will use democratic socialism to convince the free world, the Western world in their terms, that it's not communism so they can make you communists. Fucking read a book. But that's neither here nor there. The problem with that theory that the Western world's going to become communistic at any point in the future with media control is I don't know this for a fact. I've never been there, but I have never seen one piece of evidence that makes me believe that the Chinese civilians believe their media. They know it's full of propaganda. Mm. We still, for some reason, don't think that's a thing.
I'd say not to the extent they do. I'd agree with you, like incrementally. I'd say, I mean, you can just look on your own social media feed and you can see how many people don't believe media. You know,
it's because the mainstream media has proven not to be trusted.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They've handed in the cookie jar too many times.
Yeah.
But, oh, shit.
Elephant.
Yeah.
Elephant.
For those of you that can't see and only hear, that was a fake sneeze. Just like right in the middle of my thought process. I don't remember how we got here, bro.
Neither do I. We went down a rabbit hole.
We did, man.
Let's bring it back a little bit. I think I know how we can bring it back. In George Orwell's novel, he's talking about how media manipulation to the masses can be a bad thing. Mm-hmm. And the newest Netflix documentary, what is it? Social
Dilemma.
Yeah. It's a pretty good watch.
Yeah.
They show a different face of that coin. They show it was meant for good, but these are the problems that have come from it that nobody thought about when they were developing it.
Right. Yeah.
How does, and this is something that we're both in tech, social, the communication, the relationship aspect. Mm-hmm. Now, the social dilemma talks mostly about how my side of the coin can impact and persuade if used inappropriately.
Yeah.
It doesn't touch a ton on organic traffic, but there is one stat that it brings up. Fake information spreads 6 times faster than the truth.
Yeah.
So how are you and your clients?
Yeah.
And more importantly, what can the people listening do?
Yeah.
To be able to not only control the organic, but to make sure that it's at all times full of integrity, ethics, and morals, while still garnering the result they're looking for?
Solid question, and that was like a Hail Mary pass that you brought that back. So nicely done. So here's the thing. No process can dictate the integrity piece. It's either in you or it's not. You know, I've encountered more sociopaths and narcissists since moving into the online space than I was ever aware were out there. And it is what it is, man. It is what it is, right? Hopefully you, Joe and Jane public listening, you know, aspiring coach who tends to be, if you're my people, you tend to be a little bit what we call heart-centered, which I don't mean that in a woo-woo way. I just mean you really are doing your work because you think it can help people.
We call them impact-driven.
Impact-driven, heart-centered, sure. So those people, you have to dial in your own values, your own ethics, your own integrity. It's got to be there. And then hopefully that will help you to be able to spot the sociopaths and the narcissists, because heads up, man, they're out there.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, and they flock to coaching because coaching is an environment where being a charismatic leader figure can really serve you powerfully. Like you can do real well with it. So that having been said, assuming that, I guess this is going to be for everyone. And I just hope that those of you that aren't impact driven and heart centered somehow don't hear this episode. Here's what we do. I'm a big fan of, and we'll talk about Facebook. Facebook gives you 5,000 friends. First thing people don't seem to think about is that you can fill that little stable with whoever you want.
Yeah.
Why don't you fill it with, let's say you can, I think research shows that we can manage 150 relationships at a time, give or take. Mm-hmm. So why don't you fill it with 4,850 good prospects? There's one thing right there. Okay. Take a little time, do a little research, find out where they hang out, invite them over. When you invite them over, don't be a dick. Like, this part is so self-evident to me, man. And people miss this so much. Don't invite me over and then offer me something.
I'm going to add to that. Whoever's teaching people to cold pitch in DMs with no information, this is going to sound rude, but I hope you fall downstairs. I don't mean any harm to anybody, but for the love of God.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of walking around with your nuts hanging out at the bar.
Yeah.
It's not cool. Nobody wants to see it, and you're going to get a bad reputation.
Yeah.
So fill your friends list with ideal prospects. Duh. Mm-hmm. But here's the catch. No matter how much you can tickle the algorithm, you maybe get 10% of that 5,000.
Oh, that's a high number.
Yeah, it's a massively high number.
Yeah.
It's a massively high number. So we need to be able to get in front of more people. Mm-hmm. If you're a student of Eugene Schwartz and David Ogilvy, you'll know the AIDA acronym, right? Attention, mm-hmm. interest, desire, and action. I'd add one in front of that, audience.
Yeah.
The audience, attention, interest, desire, and action. Got to have the audience first. The way I like to do it is through boosting content from a page. Mm-hmm. Now, everybody wants to jump up as if they know what the F they're talking about. Boosting's a waste of money. Boosting. No, you just don't know.
So I'm gonna clarify this for a lot of people. Boosting money boosting ads with money, or boosting content versus an ad, comparatively is a waste of money. And I specify that because it depends on what your end goal is. If you're looking for organic traction, organic reach, organic conversations, organic penetration, boosts work great all day long. You'll get impressions cheap, you'll get engagement cheap, you'll get through plays cheap. If you're running ads for what most people are running ads for, you want
a conversion.
You want a conversion of some kind or a purchase.
Yeah.
Then boosting a post, you might as well just shovel some cash into a toilet, because it's 100%
correct.
Not going to work for the conversion side of things.
Boosting is not a conversion tool. Shouldn't be thought of as a conversion tool. However, what boosting can do, done right, is allow you to sort of get over the garden wall of your 5,000 friend limit. Mm-hmm. Last year, I built one page out to about 1.2 million people, and it cost me about $9,000 to do it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's 1.2 million people. Now, here's the thing. I'm sort of developing this modality, this way of thinking, and I call it indirect ROI. Mm-hmm. I get that most marketers are hyper-focused on ROI, especially if you're an agency owner, because you have to answer to the people whose money you're spending.
ROI, ROAs, and then conversion tax.
Yeah. So indirect ROI is the stuff that comes back. You can prove I did this new thing happened, but tracing it dollar for dollar is hard. And that's what boosting does. So last year, my top line or bottom line, whichever, the gross, right? Mm-hmm. My gross was roughly $130,000 more than it would have been from people who I'd never heard of before, who weren't in my friends list. And it's the part I want you guys to get, who came into my messenger ready to hire me. So from my perspective, they came out of the blue, came in ready to hire me. In fact, I had one lady tell me at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, I just threw a little offer out on my profile.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I want to try this thing that a friend of mine is talking about called laser coaching. Here's how it works. We deal with your biggest challenge, 1 10-minute call at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The criteria is you have to have done what I gave you on the last 10-minute call to get another 10-minute call. And I was like, I don't remember. I think it was like, I want to charge $1,500 a month for this and I'll take 7 people.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? I had 5 of the 7 people were strangers to me.
Awesome.
Yeah. But the thing that was the coolest was one lady from Australia. She messages me and I start just doing a gentle pre-qualification. Tell me about your business, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She literally said to me, you don't have to sell me anything. Just send me the link.
Dope.
So this is a complete stranger. And I said, well, why are you so confident? She said, I've been following you for 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So this is what I want people to understand, right?
Well, this I'm going to add to that too. This is one thing that, as a paid expert, is really hard to convey to clients in many cases, right?
Yeah.
As I'm sure you've experienced. When you see your average guru, Dan Henry, fucking Frank Kern, Grant Cardone, fuck Dan Locke, I don't care who it is. Any name that you want to
bug me.
any name you put together, you see them be flashy. You see that. Yeah. We're not going to get into the conversation on if they're ethical or if they have integrity or how their morality stands. That's a whole nother episode. But the reason I bring them up is you see them and you think that they see an ad that has a bunch of stuff and somebody pays them. No, their average client follows them for 6 to 18 months before investing with them.
Yeah. That's so important, man. These people understand this sort of ecosystem of touches, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the boosting idea drastically reduces the cost per touch. As long as you're not asking.
Which I think is fantastic because, I mean, to be quite frank, I still have room on my friends list. I'm probably going to give this a shot, see what happens. Because I already do content and nurture and offer help and answer questions and get tagged. So why not just take it to the next level? Yeah. And for all of those listening that are like, but you're a paid advertising expert. Yeah, but does that mean I don't want free traffic? No.
Yeah, exactly. And for those of you listening too, behind the scenes, I'm starting paid traffic. I'm not like a zealot about one or the other. Yeah. What I teach is organic because I know that there's a range there before which it's very risky to start getting into paid traffic, right? Like an income range.
You should be doing both. I mean,
that's the sort of sweet spot.
Yeah, I mean, the general rule of thumb, when you can get there, if you can get there quickly, the faster you can get there, the better. And there's mixed methodologies, paid first, organic second, organic first, paid second, mixed methodologies, but the end goal is always the same.
Yeah.
Paid advertising is your quick buck. It's your quick audience. It's your quick tracking. It's your scalable approach.
It's your scale. Yeah.
Organic is your long-term profitability added. It's your accountability. It's your referrals. It's your reputation.
Yeah.
Also, for those of you who don't know, you can get a fuck ton of content from your organic stream for your paid ads.
Yeah. I look at it too as like, for those who are using paid strategies, again, which no doubt those work. So let's just be clear about that, because I know a lot of people who are either organic or paid. I heard Taylor Welch say,
traffic
and funnels guy. I heard him say that like 38% of their revenue over the last 3 years came from organic.
Yeah, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, which, I mean, I can't verify that or disverify it or whatever, but I'm just saying, for a guy whose whole jam is paid campaigns, to say that is indicative, right? And so I look at like the organic as sort of like just seasoning up the stew if you've got a good solid paid thing happening.
Yeah, I mean, it plays into the old tried and true statement. You're going to pay for it one way or another, time,
Yep.
money, or both.
That's right.
Which one do you want to invest in now?
Yeah. Yeah. And are you serious about building a really powerful marketing system?
Yeah.
Because if you are, there's no reason not to use both.
And let me add something to this for everybody listening, and keep it tuned up. We have over 200 funnels, okay? Because our offer has slightly changed. We're rebuilding all of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna take us months. But the reason we're doing that is we have to keep up with the times. We have to make sure that our offer's good, and we have to make sure that everything that's customer facing has integrity in it.
Yeah.
I can't come out and wear a fucking tattoo that says, "Remember, you were made to thrive, not survive," and then just let my tech fucking float around and do nothing.
Right. Yeah. 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 And, you know, one of the other things I like to sort of dispel the myth of, even though it's not directly an organic marketing piece, is like the idea that somehow it's not going to take work. You should divorce yourself, get as far away from that idea as fast as you can. You know, I mean, it's just that, to me, that was one of the most predatory sort of inferences that I first encountered. Was like, I didn't understand anything about funnels in the beginning. And my first exposure to them was that thing I lovingly refer to as shit funnels.
Yeah.
And I really believed, because of my naivete, that there was some, I could just build one funnel and suddenly all my problems are solved. And yeah, in theory, that's true. But the process of getting there for most people is just hairy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, unfortunately, that community, right? And I use the tool. The tool is good for what the tool is made for.
Right.
Just like a Craftsman wrench is just as good as a snap-on wrench if all you're doing is turning a bolt, right?
Yeah.
It's a wrench. The community does. First, let's give credit where credit's due. Whether you like him or hate him, the guy that started that is a masterful marketer.
1,000,000%.
In what he does, he has perfected his method for what he does.
Yeah.
Okay. That doesn't mean that there aren't things that I have issue with in the community that was developed because of that.
Right.
My biggest issue, and we've got to wrap up, so we'll keep this conversational topic pretty short. My biggest issue with it, much like you got taken advantage of because of that naivete. But that stems from, there's like 500,000 people that read one chapter of a book, watched 3 YouTube videos, and they think they know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
The reason the cliche practice makes perfect exists is because until you practice it, you don't have the skill set to back up what you're claiming.
Yep.
Right? You could go to college to be an ASE certified mechanic, but if you've never worked on a car after you got that certification, there's no fucking way you know what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, I come from the world of martial arts, and there's a small group of people in that world who collect black belts.
Okay.
They're not good martial artists, right? They just go from one system to the next and learn all the forms, because any form-based system, once you learn the black belt forms, you can have a black belt.
Yeah.
They collect black belts, and yet as a green belt, I'm mopping the floor with them. Just making them look bad, you know what I mean? Because I'm focusing on, like, the
martial arts.
Yeah. How do I deliver maximum damage with this move? And so this is all really, really important in my mind. Marketing conversation here. This is important stuff to be talking about. I know you got to wrap up, man. So I'm going to let you sort of, put the drop dead time on.
What I want to do is let's schedule another one of these. I know the audience is going to want to hear you again.
Absolutely.
You've got my calendar link, so hop on. For everybody listening, what I want to do for y'all is, Manny, if you don't mind, I want you to do 2 things. One, drop one gold nugget of your choice, make it short, sweet, and impactful.
Okay.
And then 2, let the people know where they can contact you, where they can work with you if they want to apply to work with you,
Sure,
where they can find you. And if you have anything that you want to, as an offer, go ahead. Now's the time that you can do it.
100%. I think my gold nugget would be you got to grow an audience, and then you've got to treat that audience, I mean, kind of with a ton of respect and integrity and genuineness.
Yeah.
You know, and what I've found and what the people that I've sort of trained in my system find is that, yeah, you can make offers and people will say yes, but if you grow an audience and you really respect them and nurture them, you also get people coming to you sort of quote unquote out of the blue. And that is wonderful. Let me tell you, the whole game changes when people just come to you ready to work with you. So like, if you want to get my systems, my ideas, my strategies, I'll have my assistant send over the link. You can come join my Facebook group. I'm trying to do something different here where I give away more for free in the group than you're going to get for most programs you pay for.
Awesome.
And it's meant to lead you to buy my program. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's meant, because what I'll help you do is compress the time. I'll help you collect time.
That's what people pay you and me for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you build your own house? Yeah. Are you gonna? No, you're gonna hire a contractor, so it takes 60 days, not 6 years.
Exactly. Exactly. And then as far as a free gift goes, I have a training that I've put together that really dives into what I was talking about earlier about growing a massive audience through simple, low cost boosting. So if I'll have my assistant send that over too.
Awesome. And then where's a website or social profile where people can connect with you to get to know you, ask questions outside of the group?
The group is the best way, but otherwise just go to Manny Wolfe on Facebook.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's a guy who calls himself Manny Wolfe 2. That's not me.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm the one who my profile is clearly the profile of a guy who is a professional, who is, you know, in business to help you grow your audience and get more clients. You can't miss it on my profile. Yeah, that's what I'd say. And if you want, I can have my assistant send over that link as well.
Yeah, shoot it over. Everybody listen. I'll make sure that that's in the bio section. You could go ahead and click on it, take action. I would reach out, get to know Manny a little bit. I know he can help you. I'm probably going to pick your brain a little bit and we'll trade ideas and help each other out. Everybody stay tuned for another episode of The Inbound Secret, and we'll see you on the next show.
This is the Inbound Secret.
My name is Bryce, and I'm your host for The Inbound Secret, where we're talking with top performers and health experts and sales badasses alike about their strategies to optimize their well-being and performance. Once again, this is The Inbound Secret, and let's get rocking and rolling.
This is the Inbound